But anyways, I was starting to get a little sick.
Mm-hmm.
But this was like hours into the trip. Like maybe what felt like 2 hours. And I didn't have any problem heating the rig up.
Right.
Like no problem at all.
Like the
I
depth
didn't
perception wise, like you just...
No, it didn't really fuck with me, which was weird because like that was the most mushrooms I'd ever taken.
Right.
And like I had just stared at the floor for like 2 minutes straight and it was just like twisting and warping and I was like, whoa. So like obviously like I was getting, visuals, like hard visuals. Like shit was morphing. I looked in the mirror and I was a zombie. And I was okay with that at the moment. I was alright. But that I had no problems heating the rig up and then dropping the dab in, like no problem at all.
Ooh.
But
what about, we didn't have a carb cap, we used that stained glass. Did that fuck you up at all? Were you good?
No. I didn't have any problem like dropping the dab in like with the little needle or whatever you call it, the dab tool. I had no problem getting that in, didn't burn myself at all. It was the dab though that made me super paranoid because it was too much. Because I wasn't smoking much right then.
Right.
Because that was around the time I started getting really paranoid with weed. And I had decided to do a dab. I was on mushrooms, so I didn't really think that through. I was just like, my stomach hurts. I need something strong to cancel out this, like, stomach pain. And then that's what started getting me down the whole money train.
Oh,
about, like, that. I started getting paranoid. I was like, well, I started getting paranoid, and then I was like, I got to this point where I was just sitting there staring at the blank TV because we couldn't get it fucking turned on.
Yeah.
I started staring at the TV and I was just kind of like, what's next with my life? Like,
yeah.
I was living these last couple, we had been planning that trip for months all the way up to Nashville and I was like, what's next with my life? Like, I've been sitting here for the last like month and a half, ready for this trip, ready to go to Nashville. And we got there and I started tripping shrooms and I was like, what the fuck is next with my life? Like, what do I do now? Like, I have nothing else to look forward to. What am I doing with my life? And then I was like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. I'm alright. So, like, it only took me, like, seconds to pull out of that. But I don't think that was the mushrooms. I think that was the dab making me paranoid, and then the mushrooms getting behind it, going, being mushrooms.
Right.
But I don't think I would have gotten that paranoid had I taken the dab. Yeah. But like weed just
did it help your nausea?
Yeah, but at the same time
pushed energy
towards the paranoia, which made me nauseous because it was just like overwhelming. It's not just like paranoia; it's like paranoia and anxiety, like charging with 1,000 gold horses.
Shit.
And it's like raw, and that's how it is just about every time I smoke now.
Fuck.
Like I can't, my heart will sit there and pound. Like I'll have an anxiety attack. Like that's the only way I know how to like describe
what's happening.
What it is like I guess it's an anxiety attack, and I don't have that shit like ever. Except for when I smoke. Like, I've never had an anxiety attack. I'm not an anxious person.
You don't freak
out. To the point of anxiety attacks. Like, I don't get like that in public. I don't get like that anywhere. But it's when I smoke, in any situation, like, nothing could be going on. We could just be sitting here chilling, doing what we're doing right now. If I started smoking right now, I would find something.
You would start looking out the window.
Not even like that. It's just like something will come to my mind and I'll sit there and I'll run on that train. That whole train will just be like, this, and that. You have that to worry about, so let's focus on that right now.
Right.
And then it's like 4 different things and I'm sitting there trying to like, it's all running through my head going, focus on this, focus on this, focus on this. And then my heart's just like, and I'm like, oh shit, now my heart's beating. There's a 5th thing to worry about now. Shit, I'm going to die of a heart attack just right now. I'm only 21 years old. I'm going to die of a heart attack.
Because of weed.
Because of weed, yeah. And I'm just sitting there like, fuck. And then I remember, I'm like, well, no one's ever died from weed. But then my head's like, yeah, but you're having an anxiety attack right now and your heart's beating through your chest. You might be the first one. That's the shit that goes through my head when I smoke now. And I think it's just because I have a lot of shit that I think I need to deal with. And I think that's the weed telling me, you need to deal with that before you start smoking again.
Right.
So I take it as a positive experience with the fact that weed. I don't say weed makes you paranoid and makes you this, and that. It's like, no. It's telling you what you need to be worrying about instead of smoking weed right now.
Right.
Get your shit together, and then you can smoke again. And it might be like that. It might not be like that, you know?
For sure.
I might get all that shit together and then
still
be super anxious and paranoid when I smoke. I don't think that's how it's going to happen, but I don't know. Like, this is the first time that's ever happened to me in the, like, fucking 10 years of smoking. But not steady. I started smoking way too young. I think the first time I ever smoked was like 11, 12 years old. But it wasn't like I was smoking weed every day. I didn't start smoking.
It's like you tried it when you were very young.
And then, like, I think when I was like 13 or 14, I got my hands on it a lot more often.
Right.
And it wasn't every day for like forever. It was like every day for a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say it was every single day.
It was like
there were probably some days where I didn't, yeah. But majorly, I was smoking a lot. And that never happened. Like, I was always fine. And there were times where, like me and my buddy were smoking behind this barn one time. And a lady we didn't know came around and started yelling at us. And even that didn't get me paranoid.
Right, so...
Like, I was just fine. I was happy we didn't get in trouble, you know?
Right, yeah.
I was just like, you know, like...
We did it. We caught away.
Yeah. But it's just been recently where it's been bad. It was around the time, I think it was the edible that really fucked me up.
Oh, that super strong edible?
The super strong edible made me realize there's some shit I need to focus on now.
Right.
That was like, hey, boom! Hit me like a fucking freight train. But mushrooms, all the times I've done mushrooms, I've never been paranoid, except for the time I took them and Josh came over and I didn't tell him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like sitting there having a panic attack or anything.
You were just like,
I was just like, I have to tell him, but don't tell him. Don't tell him, he might be mad at you. And I was just like, okay, I won't tell him. That's that. And then I started staring at him and he, like, his eyebrows got all, like, short. And then he was laughing at me because he was stupid high. He started laughing and I was like, I can't contain this. I have to tell him. It wasn't really like a panic attack or anything. It was just more... It was
just like an overwhelming urge that you had to do.
It was like this duality of, wow, I wanted to tell him, but I can't.
That's funny.
Yeah. That's the only time they've ever made me, you know, not, like, giddy happy. You know, every other time I've just been super giddy. And if I do start to have, like, some bad trip, it's always usually because I smoke too much weed right then.
Right.
But I do like having a little bit of, like, flour for right after I start tripping, so that way I don't get sick.
I did it, well, I was already high, so it's not like I didn't smoke. But I sat down, do you remember the second night? We just started tripping, I had to sit down. I was so, it wasn't like I was so nauseous, but I was like, if I don't sit down right now on the floor, not like move, you know, just flop down, just sit, I might throw up. So I'm just gonna sit down. So
I kind of remember.
Sat down.
That whole 3 days.
The torpedo joint, you remember? It was short and fat. And I smoked that, and I was good afterward. Like, I was dancing around.
I don't remember. The only thing I remember was that little glow in the dark bowl that we had. Yeah. I don't remember rolling too many. No, I remember rolling the money blunts.
We rolled one, and it was really loose, so we had to fill it up, and it was like a chode. Bro.
I rolled it. I think I tried to roll it after we had already kind of started tripping,
and it was like a chode.
Because we wanted a day trip. We wanted to trip during the day because that fucking wasp. I was sitting there this wasp came and flew up on the railing of the deck, and I was just very intrigued by that wasp. I was sitting there staring at it. I was not scared of it, and I'm not usually scared of wasps. No. I'm weary of them. You know, I don't want to get stung or anything. But I was sitting there. I was probably that far away from it, leaned over onto the rail, oh, interesting. How do you see with all of those eyes?
I felt the same way when the spider turned around, and I was like, oh, this spider is conveniently right here for me. And then it lunged at me. It didn't give me a bad trip or anything, but it felt like
the web bounced.
Yeah, it was like, and it felt like it was 3D in real life though.
Honestly,
like,
I thought
really
you were gonna start tripping out after that.
No.
When it happened, because it did knock you down. You were like, oh, I did not like that, and I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no.
No, I was good. It was just, it really reminded me of the Harry Potter Ron Weasley scene with the big ass spider.
Oh, the giant spider.
Where it like lunges at him.
Yeah.
Where it wasn't actually the spider, it was that like thing in the box that shows you your fear, and it like lunged at him. That's what like straight was that scene in my head, full screen 3D.
Yeah.
Right in front of my eyes. Real life.
I don't know, man. I definitely think that, like, if anything, mushrooms should be legal over, like, anything.
Over
like,
everything, yeah.
Well, like, I do understand that, like, if you have some sort of, like, mental disorder, I don't think, and I don't count anxiety and depression as a mental disorder. I mean more like, you know,
schizophrenia,
like actual like clinical, you know, mental illness. You
should only use them at the like advice of your doctor at that point because you're a patient. I feel like.
But they usually advise people with schizophrenia not to smoke, not to take hallucinogenics. Like it can, you know, because they're already hallucinating in their head. Like, but I think like if you're just a normal person, I think mushrooms are definitely something you should try.
I think
they're not like acid, and they're not like all these other like crazy hallucinogenics like ayahuasca and peyote. It's very uplifting. It's definitely an upper. It makes you feel really happy.
Yeah.
Really
But it's
nice.
a lasting happy. It's not like
I've
never done hard drugs, but from what I've heard, it like shoots you up and then rockets you down and you're like in the dumps. Yeah. But it's like when you eat mushrooms, you kind of just come to a resolve with things.
For like hours.
But even months later, you like really come to terms with certain things that you're like, okay, well,
if you can hold on to it.
Yeah. If you can hold on to the thought, it could, you know, change your perspective on life.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That first night, because we drove to Nashville, and I think we got there like 2 hours before the concert started. Right, roughly about 3 hours before it started.
I think it was a little, yeah.
And then we went to the concert. We didn't get home until I think it was like 11 12 o'clock. It was probably more like 12. Yeah. And then by like 12:30, I think we took the mushrooms. And then we didn't come down until about 6, 7 o'clock that morning. We were pretty much coming down. Like we still felt that like uplifting, but like it was the come down of it. About 6, 7 o'clock, and then we went to bed. I feel like because it was summer, so 6 o'clock it was bright outside. I feel like we went to bed probably around 8, and we woke up at like, what, 11? We only slept for
9,
like
10, 11,
3 hours.
We got back up. I was refreshed. I'm not even lying to you.
Yeah, I felt good. I felt like I had slept an entire 8 hours.
I felt like,
No, I felt a little groggy, but I don't think it didn't feel like the lack of sleep groggy. It felt like the day after mushrooms groggy.
Right.
And then I think probably by like 3 o'clock we had eaten more mushrooms.
Yeah, I would say so. We like ate some breakfast.
And maybe it was we went to Waffle House with Frank. And then by it may have been a little bit later because we took our time waking up, and I think we went out for Waffle House at about 12. We came back around like 1 or 2. Because I think Frank had a little bit of shit he needed to do. I think it was probably about like 4.
Over to the house.
Oh yeah, he was.
Like that.
Yeah, I think it was. Shit, it may have been more later. I think it was later in the day because I remember it being like dark.
I
later,
remember
like shortly
the day
after.
turned into night.
I think we took them about like 6 o'clock. And then by the time they really started to kick in, like 30, 45 minutes later, it was like 7-ish. And then like out of nowhere, it was just dark.
Yeah, it was crazy. We were inside. Like, we had just come in, and it was like light, just as light as it is like now. I feel like we just went in, we come out to smoke a stogie, and it's like pitch black. Like, it like kind of shocked me because I walked out.
Well, I remember you
expecting
just
it to be
disappeared. You just disappeared. Frank, Frank, and Christina were all downstairs. And then we were already tripping at this point. We were downstairs, and we were all down. You, me, Frank, and Christina were all downstairs.
Mhm.
And then you disappeared. You just like went upstairs, and then Christina was like, "I'm gonna go see what she's doing," and she left. And then it was Frank and I we were just, I think we were just sitting on the couch, like talking.
Chilling.
Yeah, just chilling. And then he went upstairs, and it was just me down there, and I was just like sitting there, like watching TV and shit. I think he put on Where the Buffalo Roam. And then I was like, where the fuck did everyone go? I feel like it's been like 2 hours. I've just been sitting here. So I went up there, and like I think you went up there to get into your onesie.
Oh, yeah.
And then y'all were sitting up there. You were singing some kind of song. I can't remember. I think it was I Am a Mushroom or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And you were just sitting there like singing that song, and I was like, I thought she was up here like tripping out or something, because like I felt like you had been gone so long.
Oh, and I was just like, na.
No, I thought you were like having a bad trip or something. And I went up there, and you were fine. You were just like dancing around outside on the deck, and then we started rolling up a bunch of joints.
I have a video.
Yeah, it was when we started
Video.
recording.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
No, I think we did them the day after too, and then we were done and we went home.
Yeah.
3 days in a row.
That was fun.
That was pretty fun, yeah. But like previous to that, a lot of people told me like, oh, if you do mushrooms too many times in a row, you'll perma trip and this, that, and I'm like, I feel like it would take lots of mushrooms to do that.
Yeah.
You would have to trip for like days in a row, like weeks in a row.
Right.
With massive amounts of mushrooms,
Right,
like a
right.
quarter or more.
Well, it's just like
And they'd have to be pretty strong.
The people that have done mushrooms that I know.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone that I know for sure isn't boasting and they have eaten mushrooms for 3 weeks straight,
Yeah.
like they didn't say, "Oh, I had a withdrawal." No, it was just like you trip for 3 weeks and you're done.
Well, Frank only tripped for like a week straight because she handed him a big old bowl of mushrooms.
Oh, was it a week straight? But you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't worried about a couple of days whenever I had known people that had eaten mushrooms for a long time.
Yeah.
And especially whenever I had, well, I don't think that this person had messaged me this yet, but I've had multiple people tell me that they have had such success with micro tripping every day for years.
I micro tripped.
So,
I took a 0.5. It was a stem. I just ate the stem. It was right before Boo came over.
oh yeah.
And I cleaned the whole fucking house. I was not high. It honestly felt like Adderall.
Yeah.
It was that uplifting feeling plus the energy. I wasn't tripping. There was no visual. There was no trip. It was just like, it felt like an Adderall or like,
right.
Ritalin or something. It was just uplifting and speed, like,
It just made you
or
kind
energy,
of like,
not speed.
yeah,
Energy.
energy.
I am speed. It was just a bunch of energy, and I just started cleaning the house. Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see how you could be successful.
Multiple
with that.
people have messaged me like, "Hey, yo."
I just feel like that would be
do it.
expensive as fuck.
Well, I don't know their extent of microdosing, because what if it's 0.1? It's not that expensive.
Yeah, but I feel like you could only take a 0.1 for so many days in a row before you don't.
Would
feel
need
that
like
anymore.
a 0.2.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then eventually you'd be at a gram, and a gram of the mushrooms that we got for your birthday definitely made me see like slight visuals.
Right.
Like they weren't. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was still a little. No, I felt a little funny. A little funky funny.
Funny.
I need to go get some more coffee. I'll be back. I need to take these two.
Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate it.
Hello.
Do you need anything while I'm out?
that was our mushroom experience, our first mushroom experience. But it was like 3 days in a row, so super fun. 10 out of 10. Recommend. Don't do them by yourself for your first time, for sure. Don't do it by yourself your first time. And I'm trying to think.
Damn, it's pretty outside.
Yeah, I know, right? Do you have any mushroom tips, just like off the top of your head? Don't do it alone your first time. Eat.
Honestly, I don't think it really matters that much. Mushrooms
Well,
aren't like that.
I don't know, man. The only reason I say that is because my sister.
Yeah, but your sister was fine. She didn't kill herself or anything.
No, I know that.
She wasn't like super dark about it.
No,
she was fine.
But it's like it did take her to not a. It wasn't like a great trip.
Yeah, but she's
like
also a
optimal.
paranoid, anxious person to begin with. She's very socially anxious to begin with.
Yeah.
I'd say if you're the kind of person to not want to take your like coffee back because they gave you the complete wrong order, then yeah, you shouldn't be alone. If you're that kind of like anxious person, where you can't be out in public, you can't say, hey, my order was wrong because you're so anxious.
Right.
You probably shouldn't be alone your first time. But like someone like you or me, who we don't really care that much about shit like that. The only time I get anxious when I smoke.
I don't know. I would have.
I don't think.
Because like I feel like I've done mushrooms a couple times, and I'm glad I didn't take them alone my first time.
Right.
So that's just like my opinion. And
my first time was just fucking.
So you do whatever
phenomenal.
you want.
My first time was phenomenal. I could have
mine
been
was
alone.
too.
I could have been alone. Like,
I don't
honestly.
think I would have had as good of a trip.
Oh, I think I would have been just fine. If I was in the middle of the woods, I could have found something. I would have made a friend.
Sticks.
But I would definitely say if you smoke weed, if you're an avid weed smoker, I would definitely smoke a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Before you start tripping, like take the mushrooms and then smoke a little bit, like a bowl, just something to keep the nausea away. Because I've never thrown up on mushrooms, and there's been times where I didn't even smoke and I didn't get sick. I didn't get a stomach ache or anything, except for the one time. Okay, but that was like hours into the trip where I started getting a little nauseous. So, and I smoked and that went away, but it was just the paranoia, like we said. Smoke a little bit. Have some good music.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Have
Get
some
a good
really good
playlist
music.
going.
Like, I love listening to like 70s, 80s rock, a little bit of 80s rock, mainly 70s rock, like Grateful Dead, fucking Dire Straits from the 80s. Really chilled, nice music. Don't listen to anything like super depressing.
Yeah.
Happy music.
Yeah, happy music. Or really vibey music.
Yeah, vibey shit, preferably.
Like Tash Sultana would be really cool to trip to. I discovered her after mushrooms and everything, so that's on the bucket list. Something else. Have shit to do. And honestly, no. You don't really even have to have anything to do to have fun.
No, yeah.
You'll find something once you're on mushrooms to have fun.
It'll all be fun.
Yeah. Trying to think of anything else. I don't really think so. I think it's pretty. It's just pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's really easy going. It's not like what a lot of people say it is. It's pretty chill. Very happy.
Yeah. Happy, laid back.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you'll feel a little funny.
I mean, there were even times where like people that have told me about tripping before I'd ever tripped mushrooms therapy, I looked in the mirror and my face melted off, and that sent me into a bad trip. And like, well, you must have been on acid, number one, because the same thing happened to me. I walked into the bathroom. I went to the bathroom. I was washing my hands, and I looked at myself, and like my skin. And I think it was the lighting that was, it was very pale lighting in there, and like my skin was like kind of like this olive green tint, and then the waves of the mushroom made it look like my face was kind of like melting off, and I was like, I'm a zombie right now, but like I'm all right with that. Like I don't really care.
I thought of another tip.
Like that's cool. I opened the fucking Necronomicon and I just shut it, and I was like, nope, and I laughed, like I fucking giggled like a schoolgirl.
Remember, you're on mushrooms.
Oh yeah.
That's like given. I should have said that the first
But
time.
honestly, like, it just, out of the many times we've taken mushrooms,
Mhm.
and out of the times where we've even taken an eighth or more,
Yeah.
I've never had to sit there and remember I'm on mushrooms.
Oh, me neither. But it's just like
it's a nice tip to have
It's
if
a
you
nice
ever
tip.
do.
Yeah. Like if you do walk in there and you do see your face, you know, you're seeing the waves and you feel like your face is melting, and you're like, oh shit, I look like a zombie. Like,
but honestly,
you could just be like, I'm on mushrooms. Like
the feeling you don't. I don't know. I've out of all the times I've never forgotten I was on
yeah,
mushrooms.
me
You know
neither. Me
that
neither.
feeling is so strong that you're like, these mushrooms are awesome. These mushrooms are like, you keep reminding yourself that like it's really cool.
Right.
I'm on mushrooms right now.
Right.
You know. But not to mention, you don't really like. I've never had a bad trip like that.
I
So
don't think I've ever had a bad trip.
Vegas. Come on, doggo.
Ooh, so that is our motherfucking mushroom experience, and yeah, if you have done mushrooms and you know what kind they were, comment below because I would love to know what types of fungi y'all are eating. The kind that we did for 3 days straight were really strong ones. Actually, it was 2 different mushrooms. The first night was, what is it called? Students. They're the little gray ones. And then we had golden teachers, which are pretty, like, well known. They're the gold cap, like weird white stem, you know what I mean? So those are 2, but the golden teachers are really, really, really strong. So take like less of those than you would normal ones. And yeah, have fun. See y'all later.